Hey everybody, Mike Moger, Right Kingdom Real Estate, beautiful, sunny Boulder, Colorado. Let's talk about points. There it is. Yeah, I was speaking at CU today, University of Colorado. I so love doing that. And somebody mentioned that when her parents bought her a condominium so that she could come to CU and go to school, they kept saying, that they were not going to pay points. And they wanted the seller to pay it. And she said, I don't know what points are. What are points? Well, here's what it is. 1 point, when you get a loan, a mortgage on a property, 1 point is 1% of the amount of money that you borrow. So if you borrow $200,000, for instance, then 1 point is $2,000. If you borrow $1 million, then your 1 point is going to be $10,000. It's going to be more. So that's how they actually calculated it. It used to be that lenders charged what they called a loan origination fee, and then points in addition to that, 1% loan origination fee, and then points in addition to that in order to determine what your interest rate was going to be. They don't do that anymore. They made it easy for everyone. They just say points. So if you ask a lender, what are interest rates? And she says 4.25%. And then doesn't say anything else. What that means probably is that it's at par. There are no points paid. But if you ask that lender, well, what if I want a 4% interest rate? What will that cost me? Then she might say 3 or 4 points, whatever. And that's how much you would have to pay today in order to buy that fixed rate interest rate down to 4%. Now here's the reason for it. Now I'm going to take you out of the bank and I'm going to take you to the hardware store. But it actually makes sense. I'll come right back to the bank in a moment. If you wanted to go buy a circular saw at the hardware store, you could buy a cheapo Products Incorporated circular saw. Plastic housing, the blade will go dull in about 10 minutes. You'll never be able to sharpen it. The gear ratios in it are just terrible. No horsepower. It's a one-job gig is what it is. Or you could go and you could buy a real circular. I mean a real. The cord is this thick, and it's got an all steel, stainless steel housing. You could drop that thing off at the back of the truck at 70 miles an hour and go pick it up and throw it in the back of the truck again. It's perfectly good for another few decades. I mean, that kind of circular saw is going to be more expensive than that plastic one that you could have purchased. Well, that makes sense. Loans are the same way. There are good loans and there are, not very good quality loans. Well, if you're looking at a loan at 4.25%, and comparing it to a loan at 4%, the 4% loan is a better loan. I mean, let's face it. And you're going to have to pay more. And points is the language that lenders use to define how much more money you're going to have to pay in order to get that 4% interest rate. Look at it one other way, and I'll be very brief here. Lenders are very simple people. Now, I'm not insulting anybody here. Don't think that. I'm just explaining something. Lenders think in a very, very simple way, and it makes sense. They're geniuses when it comes to it. Basically, what they look at is, here are these people who want me to give them hundreds of thousands of dollars, and 70-some-odd% of the people who buy homes need to get a mortgage. So, I mean, this is very common. Well, they want me to give them all this money. Okay. Well, I'm going to look at this and I'm going to weigh the risk. Have they paid their bills before? Are they bringing a down payment to the table? Things like that. What are their credit scores? And then in addition to that, I'm going to ask, what's my yield? If these people are high risk people, I'm going to want a high risk yield. It might even get up there to a point where I don't even want to do the loan. I'd walk away. But if these people are very, very low risk, I mean, very low risk. Their credit scores in the 800s. They've always paid their bills. They're bringing 50% down payment. We can't lose on this transaction. Well, then they're going to get a much better interest rate. It's going to be low also. And so, if you want to buy from a lender a very, very good circular saw, a very good loan, very, very low risk, one of the factors you can do is say, I'll tell you what, I'll make a bunch of payments up front. I'll give you a bunch of money up front, points. And then over the course of time. If I all of a sudden lose my job, I break my leg, and I can't make my payments, that kind of thing, at least you got a lot of your money back and it's less risk. That's what points are. It's the retail price, if you will, that you're paying at the counter, at the closing table, in order to get a better loan than most other people get at par. So there it is. If you're thinking maybe this is the year, you're thinking about maybe moving, come on in, visit with me. Maybe we'll sit down with a lender and we'll talk about points and that kind of thing and see where we go from there. Enjoy your day. Bye now.